Have you ever felt like a song was trying to tell you something? Not just make you feel something, but show you something? Like a memory you never lived, a feeling you never had, but somehow it knows you? That's how it began for Lysane, the girl who played forbidden music under a city that had forgotten how to feel. No one spoke of the catacombs. They were a dead place, sealed and buried after the Great Silence, when the ministry outlawed music in all forms. Not just instruments, humming, tapping rhythms, even whistling. The punishment was never made public. People just vanished. So the city learned to be quiet. Even children were taught to cry in silence. But Lysane remembered sound. Her grandmother, before she disappeared, once placed a worn violin in her tiny hands, whispering, "The truth hums in strings. Never forget that." That was the last thing she ever said. After that night, the woman was gone. No search, no explanation, just quiet. At 16, Lysane found herself crawling through a collapsed chapel floor into the deep bones of the city. She didn't plan it. Her feet just took her there. Maybe the violin did. Wrapped in cloth, carried like contraband. It was the only thing she owned that had ever made her feel alive. In the surface world, she was invisible. Underground, she became something else. The first time she played, the sound didn't echo. It lingered, hung in the air like breath, a soft note trembling at the edge of something ancient. The stone around her didn't just hear it, it responded. Faint voices whispered along the corridors. Not words. Feelings, like loneliness pressing against her skin, like joy buried beneath dust. She kept coming back, night after night, playing pieces she barely remembered learning. The melodies didn't come from her, they came through her, and each time she played, she saw flashes. A woman laughing in a sunlit kitchen, a man holding a child, weeping into its hair, two boys running barefoot through rain. Then the visions changed. A scream cut off mid-note, a hand clawing at a closed door, eyes wide with betrayal. She began recording what she saw in a notebook. Dates, names, fragments of lives, all gone. Not in books, not in archives, erased, but their memories lived in the songs. One night, she played a melody she found scratched into the violin's back. As the last note faded, the floor shifted beneath her. Not much, just a groan in the stone, but enough. A crack opened in the wall, revealing a stairwell she'd never seen. She hesitated, then stepped in. It was colder here, the kind of cold that felt like watching, the kind that made her question if she was alone. But she kept going, holding the violin like a lantern. The hallway ended at a door, massive, metal, and sealed shut with rivets. In the center, a symbol, an ear crossed by a blade. She played. The door didn't open. It wept. Black tears leaked from its seams, and in the dark, behind the door, a voice, clear, soft, and aching, spoke. "They sealed us in sound. You've broken the lock." Lysane ran. That night, she couldn't sleep. The voice haunted her, not just because of what it said, but because she knew that voice. It was the same whisper she heard in dreams as a child. It was her grandmother's. She returned the next night. She had to know. She played again, and the visions came harder now. Blinding, overwhelming. Hundreds of faces, men, women, children. Eyes open wide in silence, mouths screaming without sound. And at the center of it all, a figure in gray robes, standing on a podium, raising a baton like a weapon. Music wasn't banned to protect the people. It was banned to hide what it did to them. The regime hadn't feared rebellion. They controlled it. Every song composed by the ministry carried emotional commands. Fear, love, rage, obedience. It wasn't art, it was programming. When people began composing their own music, when the melodies got too real, the regime couldn't risk it. They sealed away the originals, buried them, used silence as a prison. And now Lysane was unsealing it all. She didn't know how long she had before they found her. Before someone heard about the echoes returning to the streets, whispers rising in alleys, strangers humming tunes they couldn't remember learning. But she knew one thing. The melodies were waking, and they were angry. That night, as she played again, her hands shook, not from fear, from understanding. Each note was a key, each song, a door. These were people, trapped in the music, begging to be heard. And then one final revelation came, like a scream through the strings. She wasn't just a player, she was the last composer. The melody stopped, the catacombs fell silent, and behind her something began to open. The air behind her shifted, thick and wet with memory. Lizane didn't turn around at first. She couldn't. Her body had gone still, the violin frozen in her hands. The sound of the final note still hung around her, curling through the catacombs like smoke. Then footsteps, software bare, coming closer. She turned. It was a girl, maybe 10 years old. Pale skin, no shoes, hair matted like she'd been underground for years. Her eyes didn't look human. They looked remembered, like they belonged to someone who had lived too many lives. "I was the first," the girl whispered. "The first they tested it on." Lisane's throat went dry. "Who are you?" "They called me Malice, but I've been hundreds of others since. I only remember when someone plays the old songs." She looked down at the violin. "You're not supposed to be able to hear us. Not unless you were one of them." "One of who?" Malice raised her arm and pointed toward the ceiling, toward the surface, toward the towers of the ministry. "The composers, the real ones, the ones who wrote the truth into music before it was twisted. It's in your blood." Lisane staggered back. "Number, I don't even know how I learned to play. My grandmother, she just..." Malice stepped closer. "She wasn't your grandmother. She was your keeper. Her job was to protect the last bloodline, the last one who could unlock us." The truth snapped like a string. It was never about talent. It was blood, heritage, design. Lysane hadn't chosen the music. It had chosen her, and now it was waking everything the ministry tried to bury. She backed away. "I didn't ask for this. I just wanted to play." Malice's eyes darkened. "And now you can't stop. Can you?" She was right. The songs itched in her fingertips. Even now, even in the silence, her hands twitched with rhythm. Not just desire, but need. The melodies weren't just in her mind anymore. They were inside her, moving her like a puppet. "Where do the melodies come from?" Lisane asked. Malice tilted her head. "From people. Every emotion that was too strong to be forgotten. Every soul the ministry erased. They don't die. They become sound. You've been freeing them." Lysane fell to her knees, the weight too much. All those faces, all those lives. She wasn't just playing their memories. She was reliving them, carrying them. And every time she played, she lost a little more of herself. "You said I was a composer," she whispered. "So what happens now?" Malice knelt beside her. "You can stop. Bury the violin. Walk away. Let the silence win. Or what? You finished the last composition. The one your bloodline started before the purge. The one that doesn't just free memories, but returns them." Lysane's chest tightened. "What happens if I do?" Malice stood. "Everyone comes back. But not all of them are innocent." The violin buzzed in her hand, like it had heard the choice before she made it. And maybe it had. The air around her thickened again, and more figures appeared. Dozens, then hundreds. Faces blurred by time, eyes wide with longing. Some smiled, some didn't. She rose to her feet, bow shaking in her grip. She knew what she had to do. The final composition didn't come from her mind. It came from somewhere deeper. Her bones, maybe. Her blood. She didn't write it. She remembered it. A long melody looping through grief, joy, rage, peace. A sound so rich it cracked the walls around her. Literally. The stones split. The earth shuddered. Above her, the city shook. People ran into the streets as music they'd never heard before poured out of the underground like a wave. Speakers exploded. Screens went black. All across the city, people dropped to their knees, crying, laughing, screaming, as forgotten emotions rushed back into their hearts. Grief for the vanished. Joy for lives never lived. Truth, unbearable and pure. And at the Ministry Tower, the heart of silence, the music hit like a bomb. Glass shattered, sirens howled, the elders clutched their ears and wept, because they remembered too, their crimes, their manipulations, every stolen child, every rewritten soul. It was all in the song now, public, eternal. But for Lysane, it didn't stop there. As the last note echoed into the air, her body folded and she collapsed. Her eyes were still open, but no longer hers. She had become what the violin was, a conduit, a vessel. She had given herself fully to the melody. The catacombs sealed behind her, not with bricks but with sound, a final harmony that would only open again when the world was ready. Above ground, music returned, slowly, cautiously. People sang in alleys. Children made drums of trashed lids. Old women hummed lullabies they hadn't heard since youth. It wasn't just rebellion, it was memory. No one ever found Lysane's body, but sometimes on quiet nights, people said they could hear a violin playing beneath the city. Low, aching, beautiful, not sad, not happy, just true.